Because AI has been around since the 50s, 60s. A lot of academic work. People have been working on this problem for many, many decades. Yeah. So it's not. But people think, oh, it's new. It's not new. ChatGPT brought it to the forefront and brought it to the mainstream. So that's everyone was talking. With every major industrial revolution, you're going to see people losing their jobs, and then you're going to see new jobs getting created. So blazers. So I buy these blazers. They're white, and then I dye them. So I'm experimenting with different dyes. So this used to be white. So I'll dye it, and then I'm kind of exploring like different details, like here on the sleeve. And this is a very basic one. I've just started this. My music started with actually a high school band. So I never really was into, when I was young, this was like already in middle school. So before that, I didn't really care about music. I was a kid, playing with my friends, robots and spaceships and whatever. Music was in middle school. My parents wanted me to get involved with some sort of extracurricular activity, kind of something else other than just academics. So joined band. So I joined band. I didn't really want to, but they made me do it. So I was playing the cornet. It's kind of a smaller version of the trumpet. It's a brass instrument. So I got into marching band, into middle school band, then into high school band, and then that's how I started with music. So I learned how to read music, how to sight read music, marching, posture, all that, playing together with a group. So that was my early formation of like music and what it is. How do you play with other people? So that was for a while. After high school sometime, I said, I'm done with that. I said, I want to do other stuff. So I got into computers. And then in like 17 or 18 is when I got into like guitar, because my cousin plays guitar, and he would play like Randy Rhoads solos, and he's my age, actually. We were born on the same day. So I found out that I had a cousin who played guitar, and then I started listening to all the different kind of rock music. So it was kind of later. So for me, I think 17 and 18, that's late. A lot of people start a lot younger in music, so I got a late start. My process is basically, I'll just start to, play with chords. Right? It's a little tune, out of tune. This guitar tuned itself. Talk about AI. So this is a self-tuning guitar. There it is. Sorry. So I'm all about technology. I tried to be in bands, so with cover music and everything. So in my 20s, I moved to. I was born in Laredo, Texas, and then in my 20s, I moved to Indiana, here in the States, with a friend of mine, and I wanted to be a musician. So I tried to start bands, playing in bars, playing in clubs. Right. It was a lot of cover music, other people's music. I was trying to write a little bit, but it was more cover songs, little by little writing. So that was in my early 20s. And then in my late 20s, early 30s, I said, this is not going to work. So how was it? It was very difficult to make a living. So I had, I met my wife at that time, and we were going to have a child and everything. And I can't do this forever. So it was like in late 20s, early 30s, that time frame. So then I got into computers. I was into computers even when I was 12 or 13 years old. Before even music was the computer part, and the band and all that. I'll just start playing, or I'll just maybe experiment with some different shapes, like I'll just start playing with different chord shapes. So that's how I do it. And then once I have a sketch, an idea, then I'll start to figure, okay, what I want to talk about, and then I'll come up with some lyrics and the challenge is trying to make them fit with the thing I have in my head, and sometimes I have to make changes, sometimes I don't. So anyway, that's how I develop the melodies, is just riffs on the guitar. Or if I'll come in with a, I'll just come up with a keyboard. It's not so much for melodies on the keyboard. What I use this for mainly is textures. Start with the documentary itself. So a friend of mine, Eddie Brochin, who was a childhood friend of mine, who I grew up with in Laredo, he's actually the reason I moved to Indiana. Because of him. So he's a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker. He does mainly documentaries. So he's a hunter, he's a boat captain, he's actually a master falconer, and he's real passionate about the outdoors and so on. He's been making films for many years. They're award-winning films. He does, when he releases a film, he'll put it on the film festival circuit, and he gets awards and all that. So he was working on a film called Blood of the Ancient Vine. It's about the history of wine in the Iberian Peninsula, so Spain and Portugal, that area. So up until around the 1400s, I think, the wine there was only white wine. So they didn't have red wine. There was no red grape. So the red grape came to that area. So he wanted to do a documentary on that. How did the red grape get there? The history of the red grape. So that's why it's called Blood of the Ancient Vine. The blood representing the wine people call because it's red, right? He put a Facebook book saying, hey, I'm working on a new documentary. And then I just said on the Facebook, hey, let me write the score for it. So he said, yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. Because normally he would license music on like royalty music. So this is the first film that he's made where he's had all original music. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, it needs to be authentic. It needs to be Iberian music. I want to honor the history of the place. I want to honor the traditions. I want to make sure that it captures the respect of the music of Iberia. But I also want to make it modern because, again, it was about the history of the wine, but then also some modern vineyards that are there now, and where's the wine today, and so on. So it's both historical and modern. So I wanted the music to capture the same thing. So I'm not an Iberian musician, right? So in order for it to be authentic, I had to find people. A friend of mine named Nuno Silva. So I've worked with him on some icons of industry stuff. He's an amazing multi-instrumentalist who specializes in Persian instrumentation, in traditional instruments. But he's in Portugal, so he said, I have friends who are experts in Portuguese music and Spanish music. So it was contacts of his. So Nuno and I actually worked together on the score with these guys. And one of the guys right here, see, he's got this Portuguese guitar. So I worked with them. It was basically on the internet, just talking to them. I would email back and forth, and we would get on a screen share, and I would say, hey, and like say, I want this to be emotional or this. So I would be directing it from my computer. They would be in Portugal, and we were just recording. So I wrote like 3 or 4 of the songs myself and the melodies. They wrote the other songs, but it was very much a collaborative effort. So it's very much a co-writing. They would send me their music, and then I would mix it and create different things. I would add my own synthesizer parts in there, so you can hear synths in with the traditional music, but the traditional sounds are very much on top.
It's great fusion.
It's fusion, yeah. So that was a success. He put the film on the film festival circuit. It won Best Director, Best Cinematography, and then I actually won Best Original Score in both the Madrid and the Milan International Film Festivals. So of course I share credit with the musicians that I worked with and everything. So that was my first score that I wrote. It's very different than writing songs. I found out how the difference, like writing for a film versus writing for like rock music or other music, it's a different mindset, because for that the film is the main thing. Your music is under. The main point is the video. People are watching the film. So your music can't overshadow that. It can't take over that. So you have to fall to the back. So egos and all that kind of thing, you have to get rid of that, because you have to know that all you're doing is supporting the video. That is the most important thing. So this is actually a shot of Nuno at his home studio recording some of the soundtrack, and then he would send me the files, but this is just a video. I said, hey, can you film it and then send me video? So that's what this is. Reading computer books, and I learned how to program computers, and it was mainly about games. I wasn't very into video games. Like, can I write my own games? I saw some movies like Tron, one of my favorite movies. So when I was a kid, that made a huge impression on me. So I wanted to learn how to learn how to program computers, because I saw that movie. Like, I want to be in the computer. How do I make computers do those kind of things? So that's what got me interested, and I just started. My dad bought me a Commodore 64, and then some books. So I just started reading. I began writing my own little programs, simple programs at that time. And I've always had an interest. And then again, after that, in 17, 18, with music came in. So computers were in the background. So Wendy Carlos, she was a pioneer in electronic music, man. She's not very known. People don't talk about her, but she's a pioneer in early electronic music. So she composed the original Tron soundtrack. Yeah. So this is a beautiful kind of vinyl artwork, commemorating the movie. So this, like I said, this touches on music and tech. Oh, look at this look at this cool. I don't know if people remember this magazine. Oh. It's for people that recording people. Mm-hmm. This is a very cool old school magazine. I think it's still in publication, but just kind of tricks and tips on recording music, all about music. Try to make a living, be in a band, do the whole thing. That wasn't working out. I was going to start a young family and everything. So I said, you know what, maybe go back to computers and see if I can do something with that. Mm-hmm. So I started getting back into the computers. But by that time, the things that I learned back then were totally out of date. I mean, computers move so fast. 1 year, something is state of the art. The next year, it's obsolete. So I had to it's almost like starting from scratch. Although I did have some ideas of computer programs, so some of the fundamentals I understood. So I started learning how to program computers, reading books, and then I got a job. Somebody gave me an opportunity to do it. I said, I don't have a degree, but I understand. So they gave me opportunities, and then I got to Austin about 1998. Mm-hmm. Got a job here in 1999, and I've been working here in Austin since then. That's a local, it's a magazine. Oh. It's a paper magazine that covers art, music, bands. That's pretty cool.
Austin Chronicle.
Yeah, Austin Chronicle. Keeping Austin real since 1981. Yeah. So, then I started getting into different areas of computers. So, like audio processing, and then early on, AI. So this is like early 2000s, mid 2000s, doing a kind of early versions of AI. It was not called AI back then. Well, it was called natural language processing. Mm-hmm. So being able to understand language and then having the computer do things based on the language. So for example, it was in the medical field. So medical transcriptionist, a doctor does a chart, interviewing a patient, hey, and the patient says, oh, my elbow hurts, and the doctor, well, what if do you have pain here? And so basically the whole session with the doctor and the patient is recorded. Mm-hmm. Then we ingest that audio, and then we can figure out what the doctor was saying, what were the diagnoses that he made, what was the patient, and then create that with a computer program. So I was doing that, like in the 2000s. So that was an early thing of AI. And then later on during my career, I started learning more about AI. And then of course ChatGPT came out, and that changed everything. So that's when AI really became mainstream, because AI has been around since the 50s, 60s. A lot of academic work. People have been working on this problem for many, many decades. So it's not. But people think, oh, it's new. It's not new. ChatGPT brought it to the forefront and brought it to the mainstream. So everyone started talking about AI. So of course I had to use it, and I'm in tech, right? So learning about the current ChatGPT, what can it do, and then now I'm working at a company that we're developing our own version of AI. that's different than the way ChatGPT works. I won't get into the technical details, but it's a different type of AI that we're working on now. So it's cutting edge. It's very theoretical. It has to do with natural language and so on. So that's what I'm working on now. And how does this tie back to music is I started experimenting with ChatGPT, I think like everybody else. What can it do? Also with graphics. Since I'm an independent artist, I have to do a lot of my own stuff, my own like album covers and everything. So I've been working on Photoshop and all with different things like that. But anyway, so after you get past the wow factor, you start to ask questions like, okay, like how does it do this? And then you get into areas like copywriting. So that's a big concern for me as an artist. I know a lot of people have an issue with AI. Some people hate it, some people love it, right? And one of the criticisms is, well, it's being trained on material that's copywritten and they didn't get permission. Because the way it works is they go into the internet and they find basically everything, pictures, videos, text, and they use all the information in the world to train the model, to train the AI. Or like music, how does it know how to make a song? Because it's listened to songs, it's been trained on people's songs, and that's the thing. So if I'm an artist and I have my own music, what if I don't want the AI to be trained on my stuff? So that's a big deal, right? So I don't have an answer to that. I know there's a lot of activity going on in the industry right now where like Walt Disney is licensing their content. Other record labels are saying, well, we'll give you permission to to train your AI on our content, but we want money. So there's people are this being worked out. So there's no answer right now. People are trying to figure it out. It's kind of like the Wild West. So one of the ways that I've started using it is to create cover songs of my own music so I can hear what it would sound like. So here is a song that I worked on with a project that I had called Betamax Dub Machine, working with a producer in Canada named Ben Metcalf. So he and I had a project called Betamax Dub Machine. We're doing electronic music. So this is one of the tracks that we worked on here. I'll give you a quick sample here. So this is something that I did the vocals and the guitar on this, and Ben did the music production and he mixed it and mastered it. Taken that song and put it into Suno and said, hey, give me a rock version of that song. So let me show you what that sounds like. So, dun 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 dun, that melody is in our song, right? Dun 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 dun. So it takes that. So it's our melodies, but Suno is doing the interpretation in a different genre.
That's like a different song. Yes. Crazy.
Sounds amazing. One more time through the glass. That's my melody. That I sang it like that. So those are my lyrics. That's my melody, right? So that's how I'm using Suno. Giving it my songs. I want to hear. Give me a country version. Give me a jazz version of it, and it just gives me different ideas. It might spark a new idea for me, right? So from that perspective, I'm using AI as another tool to help with my own writing. So I think from an AI perspective, the more that the artist can control the process, the more their voice comes through, and not the computer's voice, because the computer has a very generic voice. I'm talking about just the overall. The kind of music that it makes, it tends to make the same kind of music over and over again.
Do you think that AI will take over real musicians' place for one day in the future?
So that's a good question. I think it will take a lot of musicians' places, but I think it's like any revolution. Like you take the Industrial Revolution, right? When people or like when people were riding horses, and then the automobile came out, like it. People that lost their jobs were like the farriers, people that were working on making horseshoes.
Yeah, right.
They lost, but then new jobs came. They were called mechanics. So with every major industrial revolution, you're going to see people losing their jobs, and then you're going to see new jobs getting created. So to answer your question, do I think that AI will replace musicians' jobs? I think that it will replace musicians' jobs, but it'll also allow other musicians to really push their art forward and get to places they could not get to before. So I think it's about embracing it. I think anyone who says I'm never going to use AI, they're at a disadvantage, because it's not going to go away. I mean, I can't really envision a situation where it's going to be just gone. I think it's here to stay, just like the automobile. But of course, I think that humans have immense potential. So I'm a Christian. So I believe that we're made by God in His image, which gives us immense power, immense creativity. So a human being can rise to heights that I think AI can never reach. But that takes effort, work. It takes people dedicating themselves to their craft and so on. So maybe there'll be situations where there'll be some artists who they're just brilliant, and their genius is so undeniable that whatever they produce is going to be better than AI. People like kind of the average person, it's going to be tough because everyone's using the same tools, so everyone's going to be sounding the same. I mean, think about it. So you kind of have this generic sound, like everyone sounds the same because everyone's using Suno. What I like to do is collaborate with people. So for me, working with someone else and having their voice and having their personality, adding it to what I'm working on, I like that, because even though I can technically do the keyboards, I can do the guitar, I can do the bass, it ends up sounding to me very one-dimensional. I know some artists are masters at all the instruments and they'll release music that they've done everything, which is cool. But for me, I always think my music can become elevated if someone else contributes, and then it becomes something bigger than that. So I was going to show you here this. So there's my music. So this is my tape. So that's me. That's Reese, my collaborator on this track. It's a cassette tape. That's pretty cool.
Surrender.
Yeah. This album I worked on with, this is actually a big label there. And so there's my name. So I did vocals on this, DMS Records and all that. So this is a collaboration I did. And Emma Drobna, if you look at her, she's very famous. I appreciate the things that like David Bowie does, right? Like, or Peter Gabriel. So they're very much visual. I mean, I grew up with MTV. So MTV, like the visual aspect, it's connected. You can't really separate that. So I think fashion is a natural extension of like, I want to wear something on stage, or I'm going to do a music video, because I do a lot of music videos. So that kind of, I started doing my own stuff, and then I kind of that developed into like, well, maybe other people will like it. So then I submitted some of my, mainly what I'm doing right now is like these blazers. So I buy these blazers, they're white. And then I dye them, so I'm experimenting with different dyes. So this used to be white, so I'll dye it, and then I'm kind of exploring like different details, like here on the sleeve. And this is a very basic one. I've just started this. I have other blazers that have other different colors and stuff like that. So what I'll do is like, I'll put that on there, and then I'll have different fabrics like this, for example, and I'll see how that color goes. So I'll just try and experiment with like a vibe. Very much, since again I'm not trained in this, so I just know what I like. So I have things, and this is just a scarf I got somewhere else. So I go to thrift stores and all that every Sunday, man. This one I actually dyed it. I dyed this in a different color to try and give it different. So I'll just explore like, different textures and get inspired. This is from some old pants that I had. It was a cargo pants. I just cut them. So look, see, this is a pocket that was right here in my cargo pants, but this could be maybe right here. See? So I'll just get some pins and stick it in there. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I dyed it right here to try and connect it with the color. See, look at this. It's a nice leather jacket. I mean, that's real leather, right? It's like $65. That's pretty good, you know. Might not be everybody's. Look at this, $25 for this nice leather. So even if you don't like you can cut it and make other things. Yeah. So I submitted some of my ideas to an Austin fashion show, and they liked it. And they said you could be a designer in our show. So you know, that said, oh, maybe I'm doing something good. So you know, so they have very, you know, kind of very 80s style, vintage, genuine vintage stuff. I mean, you can get. Sometimes we get like a cashmere suit. See this? See, that would be cool too. Look, that's an actual military shirt for $10. You know, I don't know if it's authentic, but see, stuff like this is cool. You can cut that, put that somewhere. Take the patches and use them for something else. You know, there's interesting materials that you can use for stuff. Let's see. So you can find some nice boots. There's only so much time in the day, so this is very much at the bottom. So when I'm not doing music, and I'm not doing computer systems, and I'm not doing theology, and I'm not doing family, then I can do some fashion stuff. Sometimes if something really grabs my eye, then I'm willing to pay more, but I try and keep it at a certain budget, you know. I don't know where the people are. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Oh, how much are these?
I had them at 20 each.
20 each?
Yeah.
I'll give you 10 each. Cut them, or I can just, if I ruin it, so it's no big deal. You know what I mean?
It's kind of recycling.
Yes, they call it upcycling, right?
Upcycling.
Yeah, it's upcycling. Exactly. So that's maybe the shirt. I don't like the shirt, but it's got really beautiful buttons. I'll just cut the buttons off, and I'll just put the buttons over here, and maybe, you know, put the buttons here. Like what? It just experiment. It's just for fun, and if I like a piece enough, I'll wear it, and I'll wear it in a music video or something. So, yeah.